everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've missed you guys. I have so much stuff to review and play with, and yeah, I'm excited. So this video is all about the new collection from Nars, and because YouTube has changed some of their guidelines, there are some changes that are coming, and if we say certain words, our entire video will get demonetized. And one of them is this word. And that's what this entire collection is named after. Dang you, Nars. So I'm not going to be able to say what the collection is called, but I'll put it down here at the bottom so that you guys know. I don't want to get demonetized at the end of the day, right? So I went ahead and picked up everything from this collection. I am going to be playing with the eyeshadow palette, which is called Blank Rising Eyeshadow Palette. This palette retails for $49, and I'm gonna play with it, share my thoughts with you guys, and also swatch it next to other palettes that I have in my collection so you guys can see if this is something that you really need. And then I bought the blush palette, which I just cannot say this at all whatsoever. So this palette retails for $45, and I have a lot to say about this as well, and I definitely will be comparing this palette next to like the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm palettes, the Hourglass palettes, just so you guys can see these textures and how they compare to other blush palettes that we have in our collection, because these do have that shimmer effect to them. And then I bought both of the shades in the multiple. So the multiple is a multi-purpose makeup stick in limited edition packaging and inspired by iconic blank, okay? It is a unique creamy formula that blends effortlessly to provide shimmering accents, warm color, or dramatic highlights. Cream to powder stick leaves a sheer natural finish with a lightweight, non-greasy feel. Mistake-proof color is quick and easy to apply whenever you want a touch of warmth on the eyes, lips, cheek, or body. So that's why they are called the multiple, because you can use them for multiple different things. They're very versatile, okay? These each retail for $39, and I have both of them, which I can't say the word. So this one is called, this is gonna be so annoying, you guys. I am so sorry. I really am. I know it's annoying. I apologize. And then this one is called Rush. This one's called Oh Rush. How about that? So of course I will be trying these on, sharing swatches of them, kind of comparing them to the Beauty Light ones from Charlotte Tilbury, because that's kind of the vibes that these give me. And yeah, so it's all about the new collection from Nars in today's video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the application, and I'm going to try on all the products, and then we will get into the swatches and all the comparisons, and then I will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this new palette from Nars, if I can get it open. Oof. So this is what the palette looks like. It does look a little similar to a few other palettes that I have from Nars, which of course I will be doing some swatches and comparisons so you guys can see that. But let's do an up close. Now the ring light is kind of washing it out a little bit. It's a little bit deeper in real life, a little bit. I will say though, this shade looks really pretty. That's that color. And you guys, that is so beautiful. I do like the packaging. I think the packaging is pretty. It's kind of like a really pretty kind of pale pink with the writing. So I'm going to first start with this shade right here and put it there in my crease. The mattes feel really soft and buttery. Like dipping the brush down in there, you can tell that the mattes are really soft. I'm gonna take my Smith 253 brush and I'm gonna go into this shade. I'm gonna go in dry first just to see what it looks like. It's really soft without being super sparkly or without being glittery. Now I'm going to take a brush and go into this shade, and I'm going to put that on the outer corner, like right here. Just gonna kind of buff out all these lines. Now I'm gonna go into this shade right here, and I'm gonna bring that like right in the center. Just to kind of marry those tones together. I'm gonna bring this shade on the shader crease brush from Sigma, the E47. Kind of bring it right there on the brow bone. That shade builds really beautifully and it blends really pretty in the crease. Okay, so I went ahead and started down the other eye, threw some concealer on. Let's move on to the lower lash line. So I want to go straight into this color right here. And I want to focus that on the outer corner and then sweep a little bit into the inner corner. Okay, so I went ahead and added the Tarte Stay Awake on the lower lash line just to kind of make the eyes pop a little bit with those darker colors. And then I put the Urban Decay 24/7 waterline in the upper waterline. I'm gonna grab a small little brush, maybe the flat definer from Sonia G, and I'm gonna go into this shade right here. And I'm gonna bring that like right there on the inner corner. Sweep it like right into the, there we go, like right there. That's a good shade for that. Maybe a little bit of brow bone highlight, why not? Eyes are done. Let's move on to the cheeks. So I bought all of the products just because I didn't really buy a lot of makeup in December. So my budget allowed for it. I went ahead and grabbed the 2 cream blush shades. I have them swatched here on my hand. You can see that they're quite shiny. They have a shimmer base to them. I also have the palette. So this is the palette, and the palette looks really pretty. And that's what the palette looks like. And these shades seem like they'll go with the cream options. It kind of reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury palette, like this one right here kind of has that shine to it, which I will definitely, this is the Glowgasm face palette in Lovegasm. And I also have it in the Lightgasm. Obviously, the difference is these two both kind of have a contour option where these are all 4 blush options or like highlight. So I will swatch this palette next to those so you guys can see how they compare. I'm going to go into this shade. It's pretty. It's quite shimmery, but it's pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe the brush off and I'm gonna go into this shade right here. So even though that color is strong, it blends out really pretty. I don't know. For me, I think I would mix those 2 shades together because I feel like this one is just a little bit too light for me and this one is a little bit too bold. And so I'm wondering if maybe mixing those 2 might be the better way to do it. I'm not sure, but this one is, in my opinion, just a little bit too harsh, a little bit too strong. And that's coming from somebody that loves blush. So take that for what you will. So what we're going to do though, is I'm going to take this shade right here. I'm going to pick it up with a brush and I'm going to put it, I don't know where to put it. Maybe right here. Okay. So that kind of gave it even more of a shine, right? So I'm going to take the other side of the brush and I'm going to go into the lighter one, okay, and put it over here. So this just kind of reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light ones. That's what these remind me of. Maybe a little bit better packaging because you don't have to squeeze it out of that tube. But that's what they remind me of. If you have enlarged pores and shimmery products on the skin and you don't really like the way that shimmery products look, then I wouldn't play with any of these products, right? Because they are going to emphasize. I could see myself getting use out of this lighter one, this one. It has a gorgeous sheen to it. I went ahead and powdered and calmed this down a little bit. As you can see, I did kind of lose some of the blush on this side. So I thought maybe I would go over top with this just to kind of see how it looks. I'm kind of at a crossroads. Like this would probably be a topper for me because I need a base, right? Like this just doesn't have enough color on its own for me. Like it's got a little bit of color, but just not quite enough. So it would probably be better for me as a topper versus an actual blush, right? So let's try this one. Because I can add a little bit of color on this side, I'm gonna wipe my brush off. And I'm gonna put this shade over top. All right, let's put on the highlighter. This is the synthetic brush. Oh, that's pretty, right? Yeah, okay. Let's see what it looks like with a natural hair brush. So the natural hair brush with this baked formula doesn't pick up a lot. So just for those that like want a little bit more highlighter or not, you know. Okay, so I am back. This is the final look. I went ahead and pulled out my lip gloss from Nars in the shade Daybreaker. It's a really, really pretty shimmery gloss. And I like this formula because it's quite thin. In fact, it kind of reminds me of the glosses from Tom Ford. It's a really, really thin formula. So that is what I am wearing. So let's go ahead and jump into the swatches and comparisons. I'm going to swatch all the products, compare them to other products that I have, and then we will go ahead and jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so I hope that all of those comparisons were helpful. Let me go ahead and get into my final thoughts. I'm gonna first start with the eyeshadow palette. Here's the thing, you guys. I like this palette. I like the buttery textures. There's only 2 mattes in here, as you can see. These are the only 2 mattes. This shade does work really well in the outer corner. It is kind of missing a darker matte, but it's not like a deal breaker. My experience with NARS kind of goes up and down when it comes to their eyeshadow palettes. One palette will be phenomenal and it'll be that like buttery, amazing texture that we're used to. And then the next palette will be kind of a dud. In my opinion, this palette is beautiful and I love the textures in this and I love the formulas. So this is the formula that I personally love from NARS. But is this fully necessary? Absolutely not. As you probably saw in the swatches, there are a lot of palettes that we have that are similar to this. And I think it all just depends on what you need and what you like. If you really like the color story and you think that you'll get use out of it, you won't be disappointed in it just because the formula is really good. So it all depends on what you personally need. But I will be completely honest with you, even though I do like it, I don't see myself reaching for it all that much because I do have these tones in so many other palettes that have more options, right? Like I have more options than just these 9 shades that I don't know that I will reach for it all that much, even though I do like it. So it's all going to depend on what you need. And if you like having something a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, right? Nothing negative to say about the formula at all. It's all going to depend on what you need. And just for me on a personal level, I don't see myself using this palette that often enough to justify the $50 purchase. So that's kind of where I'm at. It all just depends on what you have in your collection. Formula wise, it's phenomenal. It's the NARS that I have grown to fall in love with. As far as the color story goes, I kind of see it as very redundant in my collection. And therefore, I don't know if it's worth the $50 splurge. So let's move on to the blush palette. Here's my thoughts on the blush palette. I actually really like the formula of this, okay? So I think the formula is really soft on the skin. And even though it does have that shimmering base, it's in the most softest way to where it's not super glittery and, you know, really going to emphasize. It's going to emphasize because it has that shimmer base, but it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? Like you get that little bit of shimmer and glow, but in a very soft way, okay? So this palette kind of all depends on your complexion. It really does. The formula is beautiful. It blends beautifully on the skin. Because they tried to accommodate more complexions in one palette, you kind of run the risks of not being able to use all the shades, right? So if you're a lighter complexion, you're only going to be able to use these 2 top shades. These 2 are really not going to work for you and they're not going to be that flattering on your face. They would probably just be either wasted or you would use them on your eyes. Okay, so that's number 1, which they would be really pretty on the eyes. They would. If you're a medium complexion, you'll be able to use these 3 shades, right? This one I think is still a little bit too dark for medium. If you're tan, dark, or even deep, maybe, you'll be able to use all of the shades. And the reason why I say that is because these 2 would be really beautiful as a highlighter on a tan, dark, deeper complexion. So, and these are going to be beautiful on a darker complexion. They just are because they have those really beautiful tones. So it's all going to depend on your complexion. If you are fair, light, medium, I don't know that I'd waste my money on this. I would only recommend this palette to those who have tan, dark, deep, because I think you'll get use out of all 4 of the shades versus if you have a light complexion, you're not going to get as much use out of it. So that's kind of my thoughts. Let's talk about the blush sticks. So here's the thing. These I do really like. I do. And I kind of feel like I will be wearing this lighter shade. Okay, the O word. I will be wearing this as a blush topper. Obviously, it was a little bit harder for me to make it work all on its own because it just wasn't dark enough. But I could see myself using this as a blush topper, and it's easier than the Beauty Light Wands from Charlotte Tilbury. So that was the thing about the Beauty Light Wands, is that you know, it can get a little bit tricky and I kind of feel like I'm wasting it, because how I like to apply the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wands is I like to take and put some here on the back of my hand like this and squeeze it out and do this, but I don't always end up using all of it. And so sometimes I feel like I'm wasting it. But with this, you can just dip your brush and just apply it, or you can go directly on the skin. You can totally go directly on the skin like this and tap it out with your fingers, okay? It's a really easy formula. It is. I think it's a little bit more controlled if you use a brush, but you can totally put it directly on the face and blend it out. I actually really like this formula. I do. If you like the Beauty Light Wands, I think you'll really enjoy these. My puppy is like yawning. If you're someone that has tried the Beauty Light Wands from Charlotte Tilbury and you didn't like them, maybe they had too much shimmer, you won't like these. I think this darker color, this Oh Rush, it is a really beautiful color that will look really gorgeous on a tan, dark, deeper complexion. It's a gorgeous, unique color. And in fact, I don't have anything like it in my collection, which kind of makes me happy to see that. So out of all of the products, I would say I'm probably going to get the most use out of this right here, the lighter one in the blush sticks. So, those are my overall thoughts. Sound off down below. How many of you guys have picked up any of these products from Nars, and what was your experience? I'm so curious to hear. Sound off down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.